Christian Audio, a division of recorded books, presents God's Secret Listener by John Butterworth. Narrated by Julian. Forward. I can still remember the sense of excitement as my plane approached Tirana Airport. The year is 1994, and the excitement is tinged with apprehension. Tirana was an airport without meaningful radar cover, and the runway infamous for being cobbled. A very bumpy landing, a long wait to be let off the plane, and then down some rickety steps into a freezing winter night. Once over the physical concerns, the political, cultural, and spiritual questions filled my mind. What will life be like in this avowedly atheistic state? How will people be adapting to life now that the dictator Enver Hoxha is finally gone? Has the church survived, and what does its future look like? I discovered a land trapped in a 1940s time warp, economically impoverished, politically isolated, and spiritually barren. And yet, God's people were still to be found. Small in number, lacking in leadership and bereft of resources, but strangely peace-filled and certain of faith. It was thrilling to preach to a small group of believers on a Sunday in the Albanian capital, a wonderful demonstration of the resilience of the church under pressure, a living example of the fact that even the gates of hell will not prevail against the body of Christ. It was with the backdrop of these experiences in Albania that I read this manuscript by John Butterworth. What a pleasure to read the inspiring story of Berti Dosti, a story of transformation, hope, conversion, and mission. God is at work in individuals and nations, in Britain and in Albania, no less in 2022 than in the first century. May your faith be encouraged as you listen to this compelling salvation story. Steve Gugkroger, Clarion Trust. Preface. For a long time, Albania lurked just within my radar. Initially, I was no more than inquisitive about a nation that had banned religion and any semblance of Western influence and values. Then Albania gradually moved more to the centre of my attention. First, because I found myself interviewing a young missionary who'd visited, as a tourist, to see how things were. She'd returned with details of an almost undocumented reign of terror that had set out to eradicate all places of worship and those who would wish to use them. She also told of her divine encounters with several maintaining their faith in secret and against all odds. Then, for several years, I led Christian groups at a holiday centre in Corfu, directly opposite Albania. Here I'd led special prayer times looking across the sea between the two, thanking God for what we were sure He'd be doing by His Spirit there, and asking for a day of freedom to come. Our prayers were a mere fraction of those prayed both within Albania and round the world, and God did what God does. He answered, and freedom came. Over the following months, I heard first-hand accounts from those who were now sharing God's love in word and action, and seeing New Testament things happen as people came to faith, and a fledgling church discovered how to fly. All the while I was convinced, I knew only a fraction of what had gone on during the dark days of vicious persecution. God had been at work behind all our backs, and one day it would be told. Now, this very important book draws back the curtain. John Butterworth brings his considerable skill and experience as a journalist in order to both document and bring to life this remarkable account of how Captain Berti Dosti became Pastor Berti Dosti. It is written with great attention to detail, and though this may focus on just one person and one story, through it you capture the even greater narrative of an amazing God who is on a mission. The transformation that has come to Albania is nothing compared to the transformation God is bringing to lives there, as this valuable book reveals. Listen, wonder, and enjoy. Peter Meadows, Associate Director, Bible Society. Introduction. Most people have heard of evangelist Billy Graham. Very few have heard of Billy Sunday. Yet Billy Sunday has played probably just as important a part in Christianity as Billy Graham has. In 1924, Billy Sunday ran a Christian campaign in Charlotte, USA, out of which came the Charlotte Businessmen's Club, who invited Dr. Mordecai Hum to one of their meetings. He became a Christian at one of the rallies, and 10 years later, the club invited Dr.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?